Right, this playlist covers data and media inaccuracies. I highlight a lot of media that provide incorrect, inaccurate information, and I point out what's actually happening. I'll give you a case in point. One of the claims that you'll hear a lot in the media, the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. Another common claim, especially right now, is the rich own all of the wealth or most of the wealth or whatever. It's usually a derivative. And what's happened with the media over the course of, I'd say, just in my lifetime, which I'm not really that old, but the media have turned into a group of people who complain and whine and gripe instead of what they should be doing, which is informing. And they also they'll complain about problems, but they won't talk about solutions. And so this playlist will talk about solutions. Yes, we're going to highlight real problems because problems happen, and then we're going to highlight solutions to those problems. Okay? So who am I, really quickly, versus the media? I'm not a member of the media. I'm not a member of any private journalist list. I like math and statistics, and I've been doing my own research for over a decade. I get paid from results or through donations. And I've worked with companies who've hired me to assist them with marketing without the bias that comes with media. As a case in point, I'm going to give you an example. Millennial women versus millennial men. A lot of companies I know don't market to millennial women because they have this stupid belief that they get from the media that women make less money than men. Well, that's not true in the millennial generation. Millennial women actually make more money than millennial men. Think about how much money businesses are losing because they believe this diluted lie in the media that women make less money than men. Not remotely true with millennial women and millennial men. Now, other generations, maybe not so much. Same thing with the 2008-2009 recession. Companies were cutting back and they were thinking they weren't going to get business, and there were still people and segments that were actually still doing business. And it was like, no, the 2009 recession, 2008-2009 recession hit housing, but it didn't hit every industry equally. Well, why did they believe that? Well, the Keynesians were talking about, well, if housing is cutting back, then what that means for other industries is blah, blah, blah. But that wasn't happening in other industries. In fact, there were a lot of industries during the recession that were growing. So you have to be careful because what you hear in the media, again, are not always true. Just because academics say something, just because journalists say something, does not mean those things are going to actually occur. So I study the actions in the economy and what actions have strong impacts in trade based on those actions. It's another way. Results. And then, of course, a big difference between me and a lot of journalists. I don't have a political party affiliation. While I respect certain individuals and will sometimes quote them or highlight their work, George Soros, Thomas Sowell are two very good examples. Do not assume that I agree with their politics. I'm vehemently anti-Bush and anti-Obama. I do not like either one of them. Soros is generally considered to be leftist, and Sowell is generally considered to be rightist, or he's right, left, okay? I respect both of them. I'll look at why they think what they think, but it doesn't mean that I agree with either of them. Don't assume that. I would recommend both of their work in terms of reading, okay? The difference between journalist and myself and this playlist, I am not a member of any private journalist list, nor would I ever join one, where I am told what topics to record videos covering, okay? I'm also not a member of the elite. I believe people have a right to see the truth, make their own decision. I do not believe in a father knows best for other people, I should say. Some people who are successful, I know, would be thought of as completely ignorant by those from Ivy League schools, yet they fail to realize how they depend on them. Case in point, farmers. I know farmers who are not very highly educated at all, and yet they produce a huge amount of food. The reason why you eat is because of them. So going around and thinking you know better than they do, no, you know jack compared to them. You depend on them, right? I also avoid negativity for the purpose of obtaining viewers. I realize negative news sells. I get it. You want to know the bad news. You want to know why the world's going to come to an end. You know, go read Zero Hedge, okay? This is not this playlist. I will talk about there are some bad things, yes. What are the solutions to those bad things? That's what I'm more interested in, okay? Life is always going to have problems. Problems mean, though, that you have solutions. The biggest opportunity to make a lot of money is to solve a major problem or to solve a bunch of problems, okay? You want to be a successful business owner? Solve a major problem. The end. And then, of course, the stories I tell are based on true stories and represent patterns I found in my research. Outlier stories, while interesting, do not generally reflect reality. I worked at a bank for almost 6 years, and daily I saw the patterns of people who are successful, the patterns of people who failed. Daily, I was able to do research, to collect data. It was really fascinating. And again, I saw the actions. I have none of these stupid economic theories. I actually saw what people were doing. That's completely different than what you read in most economic textbooks. Those are people who hide behind their Ivy League colleges and their degrees that don't know anything about what's actually happening. By the way, the data that the Federal Reserve collects a lot of times is wrong. They don't know that, right? So the purpose of this playlist, I had a friend a few years ago who said 2 reasons why people generally don't succeed. Number 1, they don't know and act as if success is possible. And they always are emphasizing options, options, options when success requires focus. And he was highlighting college. He's like, college is always telling you, you need a lot of options. When in reality, success requires focus. And then the other one is that people are told regularly by the media, the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. In other words, what they're trying to do is deprive you of believing that success is possible. Okay? The media tend to portray that you can't succeed, it's impossible, and that success is rigged. Okay? The reason why is not because they're corrupt or evil. I believe it's because a lot of them are just dumb when it comes to math, as we'll see. The other reason is they may be following orders. They are part of those private journalist lists, right? They're just following orders, and people tell them this is what you need to write about. And then the other one is, look, negative news sells, right? I mean, you're less inclined, I should say, to share any video in this playlist because it's positive versus some negative story from Zero Hedge because it's incredibly negative, right? It just is. It's a reality, right? And of course, I do acknowledge there are a few who might have an agenda. I just don't believe the conspiracy theories of, oh, they're trying to manipulate. No, I don't think that's really what it is. So we're going to be talking about some of the problems, some of the solutions, but we're also going to be highlighting when the media is just flat out wrong. And then there are those occasional times where the media is actually right. And so we're going to highlight when it's right as well.